Peace and prosperity, family. Welcome again to another episode of Mind TV. I'm TEHUT-NINE, your host. Today, I have one of the most phenomenal, beautiful, inspirational sisters I've met in a while. I met her in Atlanta about, I want to say, a week or less than 2 weeks ago,
Maybe,
and
yeah,
she
maybe so.
absolutely blew my mind. This is the beautiful, the inspirational. She's gonna tell you all about herself. I know I'm just killing it with superfluous and things to say about her, but I'm absolutely inspired and just grateful that she's on the show with us today. This is the lovely Amber
Yeah.
Jasmine Williams. Did I get that right, Amber?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so let's bring the sister in right now. Amber, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we'll just take it from there.
Okay. Well, my name is Amber Jasmine Williams, as you said. Um, you said a lot. I almost feel like I'm not going to do myself justice now, but I write poetry. Okay, and so I love poetry, and I do a lot of spoken word, and also visual arts. I love to paint. I love painting, and I do philanthropy. So that's that's about a short synopsis of what it is that I do.
That is absolutely awesome. You do a lot. You are obviously a very creative person. Tell us a little bit about how did you, discover your creativity. At what age or at what point did you really like realize that I can do this? I have a talent to do
I
poetry
can do
and.
this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think that in the beginning, people who are naturally gifted, I don't know if they really notice their gift. It's just something that happens so naturally that you kind of take it for granted. I mean, I could say that was partially my experience. Um, and I see it with a lot of creatives. That sometimes it takes a circumstance or a person to show them just how creative they are and how worthy and valuable their gift is. So I was really blessed to have people in my life that pointed that out to me. Like, not everyone is writing poetry 24/7, and not everyone is able to see an image and capture it through paint. So that was my experience. So no, I didn't always know, but like I said, I was really blessed to have people to point it out to me. And also, we're blessed to have a good God. I mean, God sends you here with your gifts. You can't really run away from them. You can be oblivious for a little bit, but what you is what you is from the beginning to the end.
Indeed. But did you have any influences? Were there anybody around you in your family? Did you go somewhere? Did the teacher tell you, discover that you can write from something that you did in class? How did you, where did how did you come into the awareness of your talent?
Yeah, well, I mean, there were lots of beautiful people in my life showing me what I could do or showing me that what I was doing was actually a gift, a talent. There were like in elementary school, I had teachers that really put a magnifying glass on my artistic abilities, and they would enter me into little competitions or just shows like national shows. And I mean, in my family, yeah, my sister, she's like my sister. Her name is Sharifa. She's a she's one of my biggest supporters, definitely. I mean, my mom used to buy me little journals and tell me to write in it, you know. So yeah, there are lots of people, but I mean, the person I just quoted about what being what you are, what you is what you is from the beginning to the end. That's Bob Marley, and I know I didn't know him personally, but his presence was so prevalent in my life that I felt like he was a brother or a father, just a friend, if nothing else, reminding us, reminding people to I don't know, wake up and live, uh, different things. But yeah, so I had personal people in my life, and I also had teachers, and I also had artists who inspired me. I hope to do the same for other people, and that's why when you introduced me and you said inspirational, it made my heart a little bit lighter because I love that idea of being able to go further in life just based on somebody else's energy. Like you push yourself further in life or experience something deeper in life just based upon someone else's their encouragement, their words, their knowledge. yeah, like that's a dream come true for me. So that was nice.
Most def. I mean, I could definitely relate to you as a creative myself. And I've been writing poetry for a while now, and and it definitely is something that gives me a voice to speak my soul and to express myself, like, I mean, in a way that, I can just be unbounded. I don't follow any rules. There's no restrictions. I don't really,
Yeah,
subscribe to
yeah.
anything. I use it as a way to just, like, relieve myself of certain things. It's therapeutic for me even.
It
Is
is
it?
very therapeutic. It is. And people with that gift, I mean, that's a big deal when you have that gift of the word, because as we know, in the beginning was the word, and the word was God. As we know, and we know it from many different angles, but that's the traditional one we know it from, the most accepted one. How word is powerful. It's like your God. But I I was in New York, and my grandma was talking to me about the word, and she just wanted to be sure that I was taking lots of care with my word. And so she told me a story about how she said to my uncle one time, who was stealing from her. They had just come over from Jamaica, and my uncle was busy taking a lot of like jewels from her or money from her, or whatever she would put away. And so she said to him one time, one day you're going to see my money and you're not going to have the legs to walk over or the hands to pick it up. And I mean, maybe within a month he had gotten into an accident and he's still a quadriplegic. I mean, that's an experience that he has to live with forever, possibly. So really what she said to me was that in our family, me, your mother, your great grandmother, all of us, our gift has always been the word. And unfortunately, nobody directed me and showed me how powerful we are with our words, and how we can either say things over people and cast dark spells, or we can lift them up. In the same breath, she would say, like, that girl is going to be successful, talking about one of her children. And sure enough. So with you now telling me that that's your gift too, it's like, okay, well, I'm on the phone talking to another potential light worker. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed, my sister. Indeed, indeed. And I definitely want you to share some of your work tonight, and we're gonna get to that for those who who've never heard of Amber Jasmine Williams. I heard her for the first time, like I said, about 2 weeks ago. And I was totally blown away, Amber. I have to tell you, you have a beautiful presence, a beautiful voice. Your words are well put together. I mean, it was like listening to music. It was so beautiful.
Oh, yeah, we give thanks. That's nice.
So, do you have you taken your art form and done it into books and put it on CD? Have you done anything like that yet?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I have one book, and I'm working on more. I'm working on more, but I have one book called "The Language My Heart Speaks," and it's just a compilation of some poems that I've accumulated throughout the years. And I say the language my heart speaks because sometimes it really does feel like your heart is writing through you. The words just come out way too beautiful, and well, that's my personal experience. I'm not going to place my experience on other poets, but I always know it's coming from someplace. It's a part of me, but it's a bit higher. And so I just attribute it to my heart.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
and so the book is called The Language My Heart Speaks.
language of my heartbeat. I like that. That again, going to the, it's like music. It's very beautiful. I haven't read it. I'd love to read it, of course. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
how long has the book been out? Where can people get it if anybody's interested?
Actually, somebody else deals with all that for me. The book, if they want the book, they can contact me and I can get them the book. And my information is aw at artfromamber.com. aw@artfromamber.com.
Okay, so aw at
From
artfromamber.com.
from amber.com. Yeah.
Okay, all right, beautiful. Is there anything on iTunes, anything on YouTube that, do you have a channel? Do you anything like that we could hear some of the stuff?
Yeah. The iTunes and the SoundCloud and all that is to come. We're working on it right now. I'll definitely keep everyone posted. If they want, they can follow my social media as well, because I tend to put up a lot of progression on there. And people like my show, people find out about my shows that way. Or if I'm traveling with my nonprofit organization, I let people know that way as well. So my social media that I put all that information on is my IG, of course, and that's at Empress JASMYN. And JASMYN is spelled JASMYNN. Empress JASMYN.
Okay, beautiful. We're gonna make sure we get that up in the description for those who would like to follow Amber on her social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, or wherever else that she shares herself and her work. So Amber, tell us, give us a little background. You say you said something about Jamaica earlier, which I'm Jamaican as well. I didn't know if you know that. So
Yeah, I can hear it.
so tell us about that. Whereabouts in Jamaica your family from, and how just go into that a
Well,
little bit.
I usually work down from Mandeville, because Mandeville is a nice familiar city. So I usually work down from there. So you know Mandeville, or you know Manchester? Yeah, okay. Well, then there's a little town called Browntown, and that's where my people are from. Plowden more specifically.
Okay. Were you born in Jamaica, or were you born in the States?
No, I was born in Atlanta. I'm from here. But even when you talk about experiences, I really have to credit my environment for a lot of that, because I traveled a lot when I was younger, from Atlanta to New York and Jamaica, mostly those three locations. I've even spent some time, like months at a time in those locations, until we really got stable here in Atlanta, my family and I.
Okay, so you were born in the States, primarily in Atlanta. Have you been in Atlanta pretty much most of your life, or have you lived other
Yeah. After
places?
we got established, like age 6, I still went up to New York for like the summers, but mostly I lived here. Are you the similar story? Are you coming from Jamaica into up north to down south?
Yes, indeed. Actually, when I first came to America. I came to New York, and over the years, I moved from New York City up to upstate New York, and then from upstate New York back to New York City, and then now I'm here in the South, in the Carolinas. So, um,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Do you travel a lot, Amber? Do you do a lot of traveling?
Yeah, with my nonprofit work, we travel. We travel a lot. I work with children. I work with children here in Atlanta, but I also work with children in Jamaica, where my family is from.
Yeah. Well,
I actually work in a school that my mom went to, in the primary school that my mom went to.
well, let's get into that. Let's get into like exactly what kind of work you do with the children. What's the name of your nonprofit, and
Mhm.
how long it's been going, and what are some of some of the things you can talk about that you guys have done and are doing and will be doing
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah. Well, children and poetry and elders, I would say those are my passions, and I've been doing them all before I actually realized what I was doing. But I had always created programs for children, but I guess officially I started working for the Boys and Girls Club when I was in Valdosta State University. That's in Southern Georgia. I had gotten a job as a program coordinator at the Boys and Girls Club, and I would watch the youth as a behavioral observationalist. Initially, I would watch the children, and from my observations, I would then create programs that I felt were, constructive for them, because not everybody needs the same thing. So when you're working with different children coming from different cultures, even though we're all American, every neighborhood, differs. Then when you really get to observe them, you really get to see what the child needs. But guess what? I kept finding the same things. All the children, all the children didn't understand who they were, where they came from, what their hair, why their hair looked the way it did, why their skin was the way it was. Their stories, their narratives were very short. And of course, I'm working in the diaspora. I'm working with mostly young African children. So, and what you find is that a lot of these young African children, the administration at their schools or their after-school programs are white. So these people that are creating the curriculums for these children, they don't understand just, I know that most of the time their intentions are pure, but that understanding of what this child needs is not always there. So I started to just, deduct, like, okay, well, maybe you shouldn't show these children all white programming. For instance, I would go into a after-school program. The children would be watching something Christian related, and the only black character in the show would be like the pauper, like a dancing pauper. You know that story in the Bible with the guy dancing for bread. And anyway, so these are the things that I was observing. So I started to create programming and actually get new documentaries with different substance in there. Maybe having them show young African people in a better light. I mean, you'll be surprised how much a movie can affect a young child. And so we started doing things like that. But by the second year, I had developed all these programmings, but it was time for me to go. That was also during the time of Kendrick Johnson, when all that was happening down there. I had these young black kids in my hands. That happened in Valdosta where I was. So at this point, my curriculum was so important to me because there was so much discourse being thrown around down there about how this guy had accidentally killed himself. And we don't want our kids hearing that kind of discourse because, first of all, they know intuitively that it's not true. But then when people go along with it, they quietly become submissive. They say, okay, well, everybody sees what's going on and nobody's saying nothing, so let me just stay in my place. You see? And so with my children, I was for me, it was so important to lift up pride, to lift pride up in them. So anyway, I ended up graduating, but I didn't want to stop my work. So I took the best from all the programs that I created over the years, and I created this nonprofit organization that we're now calling The Art of Esteem. We registered it as The Art of Esteem, Inc. Okay. And with all those great things that I thought the children needed to see, like creative visualization, I said, well, surely these children need better images of themselves. So since they're not getting it from the outside all the time, I can teach them how to deliberately conjure these images in their own heads. So The Art of Esteem deals with that, creative visualization, and also positive discourse. Because what you find a lot with these children, and these as well. I'm sorry, it's my mom, hold on. But also what you find with these children is that they don't know the difference between positive and negative discourse. And we already know, we just finished talking about how powerful the word is and how cognizant we must be when we speak. I mean, they say things to each other like, oh, you're slave hair, or you look like a slave, you're so black, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, these kids, they don't even understand what they're doing right now. So, or for instance, I go to Jamaica and I say, introduce yourself. This is one of the courses in The Art of Esteem. You have to introduce yourself using positive discourse, yeah? And this is when I get a gauge, because it's the first class. This is when I get a gauge of the children and how well they are with their discourse so far. They'll say, hi, I'm Ashnil and I am miserable, or something like that. Like, they don't even know, they don't understand. That's not, you probably don't want to describe yourself that way, or your experience will be miserable. And it's bad for all of us when your experience is miserable, you see? So I teach them that. And the last thing we do that we incorporate in The Art of Esteem is art. So we might have a conversation like, if you could make a change in this world, anything you want, right? Or if you want to visit any place in the world, anywhere you want to go, let's think about it. And that's when we start talking about creative visualization. I help them to paint these pictures, whatever it is they want. I help them to paint these pictures in their mind. Not too in depth, because some of my kids are like 3, from 3 to 12. But we take about 2 minutes just to close our eyes and see what that would look like. And then we go into the picture, the art, where they get to paint what is in their minds. And it's really nice because at the end, the children, this is in Atlanta, this is in Ethiopia, and this is in Jamaica. At the end, the children have art galleries, showings with what they've been doing all year. And the communities come and they say, oh my God, I didn't know my 4-year-old was thinking about this. For instance, you have in the Plowden community, these children, some of them don't have running water. I mean, we live in the country where I'm from, and running water is not the norm, And so you ask a 3-year-old, if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? And they'll draw a big pump for the whole community, pumping water. And these are the kind of meditations that our children are on, but if we don't cultivate it, they'll become capitalists.
You know, when I was in Atlanta the other day, with you, I met a young man there, a young brother. He is about 8 years old, I believe. His name was Kingston. You know Kingston?
Yeah, I did meet that young man. I was very impressed with him.
Kingston, when I asked him who he was, which is a question I ask people from time to time, and it's surprisingly people always tell you when you ask who are you, they say they tell you where they work.
Yeah, what they do.
They tell you what they do. They tell you their names. They tell you everything but who they are. And Marcus, I mean Kingston, when I asked him, he said, "I'm a powerful black man."
Then he had to be what, like 8?
And he's eight
Oh, okay.
years old, and that was like I said, wow, that's one of the best answers I've ever gotten to that question.
I'm a powerful black man. That's good.
So I went on to ask him. I said, "What do you want to do? When you get to a certain age?" And he says, "Well, I want to, I want to be a scientist of some sort where I can come up with the way to solve pollution."
I'm gonna come back out there when I'm done with this call.
And he said he wanted to solve pollution. That was what he wanted to do.
This was Kingston.
Kingston, yes, at 8 years old, he wanted to solve pollution, and after he solved pollution, if he's still alive, he wants to be, the king of rap and the king of pop. That was his next thing on his list. So I definitely feel what you're saying when you're talking about these kids and how they see the world and their empathy and the things they care about. You know,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
it's very very
Children
powerful.
just need cultivation. That's all they need. I mean, they're perfect.
Indeed,
But of course,
indeed.
the environment has a very big effect on the child's behavior, on anyone's behavior.
So let me ask you, why did you choose to deal with children versus adults? What is the reason for that?
I can't say that I chose children rather than adults because, in a way, I do work with adults, but through poetry and art.
Okay, but
So
do you feel that because I look at it like this in a lot of sense, the children, they come into the world like you said they're perfect, right? But
yes.
through their interaction with adults, they are taught to conform and to become like the adults that
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying. So and
If we're
they
not careful, it could even undo what we taught them in the classroom
precisely
when we send them home.
precisely a lot of it goes into just the programming that we all go through. and
Yeah.
and if we are, our parents were programmed a certain way, and so they programmed us with the programming they were programmed with, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we have
yeah.
to be
It doesn't
careful.
have to be that way. And there are parents that break out of their programming all just for the sake of the child. I've seen it. It's not the
Indeed,
norm, but
indeed.
it happens.
Yes, indeed, and so that's why I'm thinking like what you're doing is very very important because you're dealing with the solution, to a lot of our
Yeah, yeah.
problems at a level where it needs to, the cultivation and the way they feel about themselves and the way they visualize themselves and the way they think and understanding, that their words
Mm.
have power and their thoughts have power and all of this. So
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
very very important work that you're doing, and I really applaud you for it. And um, I want to basically encourage you to continue in that vein. But
Thank you.
let me ask you about that time that you were dealing with the situation with Mr. Johnson when
Yeah.
did you were you able how did you capture that moment? Did you capture it in a poem? Did you write anything about it around that time that you can
No,
share with
it
us?
was purely experience. You know, at the time I was creating those programs for the youth at the after school organization, but I was also a part of I was the president of the African Student Association. And I'm not, I wasn't born on the continent of Africa, but my mind frame is very much I'm an African, and that organization was full of people who had actually come from Africa, and we had always talked a lot about bridging the some reason this imaginary wall between African people and African Americans. And, you know, unfortunately, we never wanted to be at the cost of the life of a human, especially one of our brothers. But it was a time that we did use to show on not only on our campus at VSU, but also at the neighboring campuses like Florida State University, just to show our solidarity. Like this, we're not separate. We're not separate. So that was a time that we were able to really put that in the forefront. I mean, like we went everywhere we could, talking, basically preaching the gospel. Like, you know, this man didn't kill himself, and letting people know that we needed to petition for a second autopsy and all those things on different campuses. And even with my children, like, I mean, I didn't talk to them very much about the incident because there was just so much being thrown around down there, even with the youth, about like what had happened and what it now means. So we didn't talk about it a lot, but I did put that passion into their programs, in their curriculum. Anything that I can do to kind of counter that blow to anyone's esteem. They just killed this boy, and everybody's trying to say that it was an accident and he killed himself. Come on.
Indeed. Amber, let me go into some of your travels.
Okay.
That you know, obviously you've been to Jamaica. You
Yes, sir.
talk about Africa and being the president of the organization in college, and I'm pretty sure you've been to the continent. I'm just assuming
Yeah, a
this,
few times.
but tell me about if you've been there, where you've been, and you know what it was like.
Uh, you've been?
I have not been there since we were brought here. I haven't been back yet, but
I
my
understand. I
it's on
understand.
my list.
Well, yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go. I can tell you what it's like, but you gotta go. You gotta go. You know, I heard some folklore that when you go, the spirits stay with you. And I mean, from my personal experience, I can say, yeah, that's true. You never feel the same. You
So
never feel the same, especially when you visit those places like Gori, or you go to a place that's majestic like Ethiopia. I mean, it's beautiful. You know, I got to see those things that we as Jamaican people read about when we were children, yeah? Like Emperor Menelik on Mount Antoto. And with that kingdom that he and Empress Taitu built up. You get to see, and then I was working with the children out there, you see. So I was getting to, you remember how I was saying that it's very important to me that we knocked down that imaginary wall between Africa and African Americans. Working with the youth out there did that for me, because now I'm not just talking it like, oh, we're all the same, you know. And I had worked with some children in Senegal in 2012, and I could see, okay, these children are just like my children in America or in Jamaica. But now I'm in the East, now I'm in Ethiopia, and I'm seeing the same thing. These kids need the same thing universally. Well, for us anyway, you know, I've
that's
never been to Europe. I don't know what they need, but my observations have shown me that our children are the same.
that's powerful. So you've been to several countries, obviously Senegal. I've heard you say Senegal, Ethiopia. Where else have you been?
That's it for now.
Senegal and Ethiopia. And you went there for your programs that you've developed, or was it just a vacation?
Yeah. Well, in 2012, I went with my advisor, who was he was a native Senegalese. My advisor. So we went together. I did spend some time at the school, kind of just collecting data. I had done some work, but it was really unofficial. But I did get the invite to come back and implement, and that's still on my list. Ethiopia was a work trip. That was something that I decided that I wanted to do. As I want to work with those youth. I mean, all that Haile Selassie has done for us as a people. If I can go back to Ethiopia and remind those children of their greatness, that's an honor for me. That's an honor for me. So, you know,
So
I have my art shows where I raise the funds that are needed to make these things possible. That's when my art comes in, and I'm able to connect my two passions.
What is your I mean, I'm getting a very good vibe from you that, you know what I mean, you connect with the Rasta culture and everything. What's your connection to Rastafari?
Oh man. What you is what you is. Well, we can say that and be all mystic, but there's so many different. I mean, what's his connection to us? Why did he love us so much? Why did he do everything that he did? And why did he set aside land? And why did he say Africans come home? Why? So as an African, I don't care if you're from Jamaica or Mississippi, you need to know about that man and his legacy. You need to know who Menelik is. You need to offer yourself as a servant for the work. That's just my personal opinion. Excuse me.
So, tell for those who don't know, Amber. I don't know how much you do know, how much you know. But for those who don't know, can you just give us a quick summary of who Rastafari and who who Haile Selassie? I mean, me and you know it's the same person, but just give them a brief summary of it, of the man.
Well, I mean, a lot of people take Haile Selassie for a mystic, yeah? They see him as a fulfillment of a prophecy. And whether you believe that or not, that's your business. That's my personal belief. I don't really talk about it. But what I will talk about is his political work. I mean, come on, I don't care if you believe that he's an incarnation or not. Do your facts and you'll realize this man truly loves you. Yeah, you see.
For we know he was as a young boy. His father. You talked about Menelik. There's Menelik the first, Menelik the second. Um, um, uh, he was obviously he was coronated emperor of Ethiopia in what year? You remember the year he was coronated?
Haile Selassie?
Yes.
Is it 1934? Please
I
forgive me.
know
Is it?
I know it's sometime in the 30s. It's not a a test question because I really don't know off the top of
I
my head
know it was
either.
November 2nd when he broke tradition by crowning Empress Menin with him. Usually the empresses, they would wait 2 days after the emperor had been coronated and crowned. And so Haile Selassie, that's when he comes in with the talk about the Alpha and the Omega, bringing people back to the original African teachings of equality and balance, and breaking away from the European monarch idea of this woman coming later. And so, I mean, he's just dynamic. I mean, even in diet, he wasn't perfect, but he touched on it. Empress Menin, she passed away from diet-related diseases. It was diabetes, I believe. But he was so passionate about these things. He just wanted people to live good, especially African people.
I mean, and whenever you talk about Haile Selassie, of course you gotta talk about the Rastafarian culture that is
Yeah,
international. You gotta talk about Marcus Garvey. You gotta talk,
yeah.
this
So many people that we love and we appreciate for pointing us to the east, to look to the east.
coming off
But
a
we
black
gotta give
king.
thanks. Leonard Howell, of course, Marcus Garvey, of
Indeed,
course,
indeed.
Peter Tosh, of course, Bob Marley. These are our messengers. But and like I said, I always tell people look beyond the spiritual aspect of it. I mean, you can go into the spirituality if you want to, but I don't like to people to feel like I'm trying to convert them. But just look at the facts. Just look at what really happened. You want a blueprint? It's there.
And the history, the history of Ethiopia,
The
and
victorious history that these people have left for us, and
you
even left land. Said, hey, we want you here.
you look at Menelik, who defeated, I believe, the Italians
Yes,
at the Battle of
yes.
Adwa, and
In the Battle of Ottawa. But people don't talk about Empress Taitu enough. His Empress, they don't talk about her enough because she was responsible. I mean, of course, it's a joint effort, but when you really check her out, you say, whoa, he got a good one. She was brilliant.
indeed,
She went to war.
Indeed.
She went out there with him. Of course you know.
And then, you know, later on, Haile Selassie, 40 years after Menelik had done what he did, the
Here
Italian
come Mussolini.
Mussolini
These
came
relentless
in.
people, man. But it's okay because we're African.
Yeah, and you know, the Ethiopian monarchy is one of the oldest in the world. You know, they trace their lineage going way back. So it's a lot of power there. But I want to kind of switch gears now and you know introduce people to the poet. Can we hear something? Do you have anything about Ethiopia, about Haile Selassie, about just you know
Do
that
I?
yes.
Damn, I don't think that my words have elevated that. I mean, I love him so much. Putting those words, that love in the words, it hasn't happened to me yet. But that's not to say that it won't.
Well, let's just get something. We'll take anything at this point. Something beautiful from the beautiful Amber Jasmine Williams.
I'm like, cause I got my Marcus Garvey book. If you want to hear some good African unite upliftment poetry.
Indeed, let's go.
Okay, well, you just hold on. How much? How long is the interview supposed to be?
That way you can get your
We're
price.
good. We're good. We are under no restrictions, but we're gonna try to keep it within the time frame of about 45 minutes to an hour. We have around 30 minutes right now.
Okay. Here we go. Let me get. So I got this book, you know, the poetical works of Marcus Garvey,
Okay, well, yeah, text me the address at school.
and he has a poem in here called "The United States of Africa."
All right.
Yeah, yeah. And I like to read this whenever I'm feeling like my vision needs some work.
Anytime you're ready, my sister.
One moment. Hail, United States of Africa, free. Hail, motherland most bright, divinely fair. Satan perfect sisterhood united. Born of truth, mighty thou shalt ever be. Hail, sweet land of our fathers' noble kin. Let joy within thy bounds be ever known. Friend of the wandering poor and helpless thou. Light to all, such as freedom's reigns within. From Liberia's peaceful western coast to the foaming cape at the southern end. There's but one law and sentiment sublime, one flag and its emblem of which we boast. The Nigerias are all united now, Sierra Leone and the Gold Coast too, Gambia, Senegal, not divided, but in one union happily bow. The treason of the centuries is dead. All alien whites are gone forever. All alien whites are gone forever. The glad home of Sheba is once more free. As o'er the world the black man raised his head. Betukana land, a state with Kenya, members of the Federal Union Grand, send their greetings to Sister Zanzibar, and so does laughing Tanganyika. Over in grandmother Mozambique, the pretty Union flag floats in the air. She assisted to good Somaliland, smiling with the children of Dahomey. 3 luster cheers for old Basuto land, Timbuktu, Tunis, and Nigeria. Uganda, Cameroon all together are in union with Nazaland. We waited long for fiery Morocco. Now with Guinea and Togo she has come, all free and equal in the sisterhood, like Swazi, Zululand, and the Congo. There is no state left out of the Union. The East, West, North, South, including Central, are in the nation, strong forever. Over blacks in glorious dominion. Hail, United States of Africa, free. Country of the brave, black man's liberty. State of greater nationhood thou hast won. A new life for the race is just begun.
Wow, that's
Thank you,
deep.
Mr. Garvey.
That's deep. That's deep. I didn't even know he got down like that. Garvey was just all around, you know, brilliant,
Amazing.
man. Brilliant. Do you have anything of your own that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I will. It's called What Is It? I think this is the one I shared with you.
The one you shared was "I Believe in Love," and I love it.
Okay, we'll read that one. Let's read that one. What's providing our vitality? What's keeping us alive? It certainly isn't the foods we eat, nor being baptized. And I suppose that it could be the carbon and the hydrogen and the oxygen, among other things. But What's keeping our spirits intact? What's giving us the audacity to fight back after hundreds of years of attack? What's responsible for such resilience? What leads a young woman to a distant land to find freedom only to turn her back, offering her hand? What then gives her tongue the words for an enslaved mind to understand that there is simply more to life than being ruled by another man? What is it that bulls in her core? An effort to Saint Louis Tor, an African general, whom of which no nation has yet to produce an equivalent, who was convinced that he, a former slave, could defeat Napoleon and bring independence among the Haitians, and he did. Of what stuff composed his brilliance, and of you and I today, who have survived conditions of which none I am ashamed, and after hundreds of cycles of pain, you and I still rise each day. I want to know what you're made of. Yes, I'm curious, and though I may not know much, I do believe that it's love. I believe in love. I believe in love. I believe in love. That's why I believe in you.
Wow. Amber, where are some of the places that you perform at in Atlanta?
I'm not really, I do at my own shows. When I get ready to go to Ethiopia and Jamaica, I host these spoken word art shows in the West End, in the Metropolitan Law. And that's usually when you find me performing.
So you don't go to any of the poetry cafes or outlets they have
You
down
know,
there?
I'm going to be honest with you, this is my first summer in Atlanta in a few years because I've been traveling so much, working with my own program, and I've lived in Arizona for over a year. And so this is my first summer here as an adult. So I haven't found a spot that I go to frequently and perform poetry, no.
Have you done a lot of different performances outside of your own shows? While you were
No.
no.
No, I mean, I do work with the Haile Selassie Pan-African Association here in Atlanta, and I'll be doing some Marcus Garvey poetry at the Haile Selassie Festival in July on the 30th in Atlanta. So I always support things like that. I mean, anything ancestral but they're usually events. I can't say that I go anywhere regularly and perform.
Your poetry, is it how do I say, is it historical mostly in nature? Is it do you write stuff about what you're going through in your personal relationships? Do you write
I do. I
do
do.
you perform those
Um,
pieces, or those are just things you keep close to your chest?
oh gosh, no. I mean, yeah, I have some that are personal to me that I could share, of course.
Okay, that's awesome.
Are you asking right now?
No, no, no. If you want to share, if you have something, listen,
Oh
you could do
no, I
anything you
don't
want to do it
insist.
right, right
I
now.
don't. I know we're on a limited time, but on the 29th, I'll be performing 7 poems at the Metropolitan Law, and then after we'll look at some of the artwork from some artists also from Atlanta. Just some really inspiration. I'm all about inspiration. I got some inspirational artists showcasing their work as well in the gallery. So I'll share some personal things, but mostly just about us, you know.
So again, you're doing the show. Tell us the date of the show, and what will the show be about? If it, is it obviously it won't just be about poetry. So give us a
Mm.
full detail and description on what the show is about, and your what you'll be doing
Okay,
it there.
no problem. So on June 29th in Atlanta, in the Metropolitan Law, I'm going to be performing spoken word, 7 poems, as I said, and we're going to talk. I like talking to my audience. The people that come, they know what they're in for. So they're kind of primed already and buffered for this talk about love and showing people love and showing our brothers and sisters love. And Ubuntu, we talk about Ubuntu a lot, which is an African concept. That means I only am because you are. So totally different from what we know as capitalism or what we know as our society. You know, we come here. It's a place for people to come and remember who they are. And so even, you know, in between my poems, I'm talking. We're talking. I might even share that story that my grandmother shared with me, that I shared with you about the words, because, you know, as we have powers. Everybody has their individual powers, but how often do we talk about cultivating them or being responsible with them? So I fit all that into an hour within the poetry. And then by the second hour, we're in the gallery looking at artwork that follows the same theme about taking responsibility for yourself and love and all those things. It's also my birthday that day. It will be my Earth Strong on the 29th. So we'll probably have a little vegan cake in there.
Wow.
And some food, you know.
And if you
And
don't,
people, I ask people to bring art supplies. In addition to the ticket, which is $7, I ask people to bring art supplies so that I can bring it down for my children in Jamaica. Some of it will stay here for the kids here in Atlanta.
so your birthday, the 29th of June, this beautiful art show you're gonna be doing. Um, is it the first time you're performing in Atlanta?
No. My last art show for Ethiopia was in Atlanta. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're free, you should come.
You know what, sis? I'm gonna try my best to be there. I'm doing a lot. I have a lot of things slated for this summer, but you know, a lot of it
As
involves
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of it involves traveling though, and being in various places. As I'm trying to market and promote some of the things that I'm doing as well.
I know.
But I love. I love what you're. I really admire what you're doing, and if I can be there, I will most definitely be there. So again, that's June 29th at the Metropolitan
Mhm.
Loft. Where is that located at exactly? If you,
That's in the West End on Metropolitan Avenue. But guess what? If they want more information, they can always just email me or follow my IG. You know, I think that's the easiest form of getting in touch with what I'm doing because I post things there. You know, and my
yeah.
email is also provided on my IG. So if people want to email me, they can. I also do commission work.
Okay,
You know,
and
private poetry.
and your IG is Empress
Empress
Jasmine.
Jasmine, and Jasmine is spelled JASMYNN.
Okay, and we'll put that in the description for anyone that will be watching this on YouTube or via Facebook. Um,
Yeah.
I wanted to get into some of the artwork that you do. I mean, we can't show it or see it right now, but tell me about that, about the visual artist. Like, how did that,
Yeah.
how did you develop into that side of your talent?
Well, I honestly, I've never been to like an art school. As a matter of fact, I took one art class when I was an adult at Dalhousie State University, and I got a D, and it messed up my GPA. But
You got a D?
I got a D in this class. Sometimes I just want to roll back down there and just throw some art in his face or a show ticket or something. Because I mean, he really kind of deterred me just for a little bit though, not too long. I was more so just mad about my GPA. But anyway, so then I said, you know, I'll never take another art course. I'll never ever let somebody else tell me how to pull from myself, because that's what art is. You know, you're pulling from inside of yourself. So that's what my art, to me, that's what it represents. Like, if I ever have a feeling I can't quite articulate, I'll just paint it. Some might call it abstract artwork, but I also do portraits of families. Like, I get commissions with families a lot. People like that. They like to be immortalized. So I work with human faces a lot, but I love abstract artwork. I love just expressing myself with no explanation. Just
How long have you been doing this particularly, and how many pieces would you say that you have done so far?
wow, I don't know.
Give us an estimate, approximate it for us as closely as you can.
I don't know, 100,
100 or hundreds?
100.
Wow, that is a lot. And how long have you been painting and drawing and really like doing it like for
Painting,
as
like
something
for
that
real,
you can exhibit and show to others?
2013.
So for the last 3 years, or close to
Yeah,
three
for the
years.
last 2 years. Because before then, I was so focused on getting my degree, right? Just doing what other people were telling me to do. But 2013 was the year that I said, okay, I'm gonna just be who God sent me here to be. And then I started painting more. It's like natural.
Do you sell the art?
Yeah, I do. I do sell. I enjoy commission work the most because it allows me it's challenging when people are asking you for particular looks, particular visuals, and then when you're done, I mean, you've stretched yourself artistically, and there's a new image in the world, just based on this person's request. So I do sell. You can go onto my Facebook and look at my options, from Art from Amber on Facebook, Art from Amber. You can look at the options that I have. But I love when people reach out and say, hey, I have this idea. Hey, I have this concept. And I'm like, yes, let's do it.
You obviously the pills. I met you at the House of Honduras in Atlanta. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
these brothers are phenomenal. The Mama Pill is phenomenal.
Aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Do do you also what's your take on the different things that they promote as far as health and everything, because a lot of people are not aware of how important, like, it is to be, I mean, on the right diet. And the last time, the time we met, we were actually sitting at a presentation where they were doing a presentation on the essential oils. Can you tell me
Yeah.
what your take on health and the entrepreneurship, like, the brothers do their clothing line, and now you're telling me that you do art. I'm wondering if you guys ever did any collaborations,
I,
anything like that.
I'm thinking that it's inevitable. I mean, when creative people spend time together, there's always something born. So, incubation period is probably what I would call it right now.
Yeah, and blue pill is a poet. I mean, red pill is a poet too in his own right. He writes his raps and he does his thing. But blue is on, you know whatever, however you want to put it. He doesn't make any qualms about telling you that he's a poet. And I got some great stuff on him, and from him, while I was there in the House of Honduras. He actually, spit something for me, and it was pure ether. I mean, Red did the
Really?
same. Yes, you have to check it out
Well, yeah, I
on
know he's a great poet.
yeah,
Yeah, I know.
you have to check it out. He has it's on the Mind TV Facebook page, and also on the YouTube channel. Both of them. Red Pill as well. He gave me some exclusive stuff, man. It was off the charts. And
Oh, you
so,
got lucky that day. You have poetry everywhere. My word. And I already
indeed.
know it was beautiful coming from Paul.
Yeah, he's a deep brother, and he's known me now for a while. I was shocked that he was telling me that I was one of the people who inspired him, because I used to do poetry, pretty much, across this entire country. I traveled the whole world doing poetry, and I've just kind of
Wow.
matured in my writing to where now I'm doing screenplays, and taking the poems and making them into
I
movies.
saw that. I saw that. Wow. So proud because I know you're from where we're from.
Indeed, indeed,
So yeah.
indeed, indeed. And let's kind of try to go out with a couple pieces. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna read one too, but I want you to give us something else before
Okay.
I
I
load
could
it.
say something like this is a poem that I wrote when I was living in Arizona. I don't know if you ever been. Have you?
I've been to Arizona. I've been once in my life. I mean, and
Well, isn't the scenery just, oh my God, breathtaking?
I felt like I was in an old cowboy movie.
Well, the desert.
Yes, I was in the desert. I was like, wow, I had no idea. But I didn't stay down there as long as I wanted. But it depends on where you go in Arizona. You can
Yeah, it depends
see,
on where you go,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Some of those places will give you that old cowboy vibe. I mean, they even have the posters still up when from the duel in like downtown areas of some of these small towns, you'll see posters like, these are the requirements for you to be in this shootout. You got to be 18 and up. You got to own your own pistol. These are some of the things I was seeing out there. So, oh my God.
Indeed,
But
indeed.
but more than the culture that the humans created or the mankind created when they went there, I was more so intrigued with the landscape.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
landscape is
oh man,
beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
yeah. So my window, of course, was you see mountains as soon as you look outside of it, and I noticed one day that the mountains change colors there. They don't keep one color. I mean, at one point they look purple. At some point they look green. Like there's also the forest, some kind of greenery, and then another time they'll look barren. You know. So the poem that I wrote about that is the mountains have no color. They wear the color the sky gives it. I too am like them, decorated by my spirit. They depend on the skies to tell them who they are. I too am like them, as I depend on my heart. Their most beautiful features at the mercy of the sun. I too am like them, dependent upon love. They never lose themselves in the night as the world turns. I too am like them, standing firm. I too am like them, standing firm. And I thought about closing that poem with Sizzler's like mountains round about Jerusalem, but I never did because I couldn't really catch the whole idea of it. But I mean, you never know.
Wow. That was it. That was it. That's done.
Yeah, it's done.
All right, I'm still sitting here like waiting for more. All right, I'm gonna do this one. I wrote this actually late last year, and
Mhm.
I just for about 2 or 3 years I kind of just went on like I want to say a hiatus where I wasn't
Mhm.
writing as much because I think just life was happening and my inspiration and my focus was in so many different places and I just wasn't like
Mhm.
I wasn't doing as much writing because I write all the time. I write constantly, and
Mhm.
this last 2 years, I want to say the last 2 years, it's like it's all coming back. It's like everything is just coming back, and I just let it flow. I don't try to control it. I don't try to
Mhm. Mhm.
contain it or put anything on it. I just let it flow. So whenever I'm inspired, I just write. And
Mhm.
it's funny because I came back onto Facebook sometime in the spring of last year because I just taking a break from it from for about 2 years or so. And I
Mhm.
came back on it and I just every time I got an inspiration I just wrote something in the notes. And
Mhm.
and I wrote so many different pieces. And I don't know, I want to read this piece. I was reading it before I spoke with you and I want to read it.
Okay.
And
Yeah, sure.
I just read it. It's called More,
More.
Moor, for me Amor.
Okay.
So it says, I pour out my cells and myself on sheets, writing what speaks my heart to you. I love you too. Sitting here, thinking about you. I'm not us without you. I miss you and wish you were here. I wish you were here, sharing my life. You smell like, feel like, be like, use me like light, and shine upon my world. Your words sentence paragraphs of love into my blood. Our love is our music, the score of our movie. You move me and remove me from wanting. We are dancing in our dark skin, my darling, mi amor. I want more
Mm.
of your more kisses. Your black beauty is delicious. I am suspicious of satisfaction and satisfied without you by my side. Guide me across the cross I bore. Nail me to the floor of your imagination. Walk with me on sandy shores under starlight saturation. I am on vacation in my thoughts of you. I love every part of all of you, in awe of you. My soul,
Mm.
my sun, my skin. I would give up everything and commit every sin to love you. I love to listen to you sing. Sing to my heart. See if it is lost. If it is lost, it is because it didn't know how to find you. but it finds you in my blood, where my love likes to love you. Smiling like a flame, you came into my light and set my life ablaze. A maze we made love on a made up page, unfazed. Rip me from its margin and plant me in the garden of your heart. Bent or broken, my rib cage is open. Come home to my care. I'll share my cells with you. I'm standing tall, but I'm ready to fall and say I fell with you. In like, in love, in life. Whisper my fingers across your body tonight and scream my name when you feel God smiling in your blood. Kiss me with your nipples hard and hold me till I'm senseless. I'm defenseless now. Shoot Cupid's arrows now. And imagine me right now, right beside you, peeling away your past, undressing your present, embrace my future with every consequence I won't consider. Tell hurt, I forgive her. The bridge, the river, the suicide, your heart does not reside in exile. Tell hurt, it's in your next smile, so file away those thoughts. You are the best part of all the parts that made up this day. And this may be what makes me break free from freedom. I hear my rhythm in the tone of your tongue. It ripples my flesh. I want to invest in your heart, soul, scattered or lonely. Baby, I'm only a thought away, so think of me. I have lived this time with you. Many times before the door to loving me is wide open. These words are written, but you should hear them spoken. My muse, I refuse to lose you again, so erase the years behind you and face the mirror that finds you happy.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah, that one I wrote sometime in November last year. It just like I said, just raw inspiration, and probably just drawing from some things that I was going through like months before.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow,
That was
so
nice. Yeah.
Amber Jasmine Williams, you were absolutely wonderful. I really enjoyed this talk. I hope we can do it again. Hope next time I get down to Atlanta. Hopefully it's before June 29th, but if not, I'm gonna try to make it down there so we can actually capture you for the audience on YouTube, and the
Yeah.
people out there who are probably in Ethiopia and Jamaica and some of the other places who probably already seen you do your thing, but I'm sure there are some who haven't, and a beautiful energy and spirit like yours, it should be shared with the world. So, any last things you want to say before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. I
Yeah.
think that it's one thing to be interviewed and to share what's personal to you, to your experience, but for someone to really care, and I mean, I'm sure you do this all the time, and to know the questions to ask and what vibe to have, I think that's a gift. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, my sister. Thank you very, very much. And again, you are definitely a very inspirational person, and I'm sure you're gonna inspire a lot of people the world over. So continue to do what you're doing, and we're here if you ever need a platform to come and say something or to share something. You know the number, and you have a friend right here. So thank you again. Um,
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Sahad.
Please let us know again before we go. Those who haven't heard it already, just give them a quick rundown of your social medias and how people can get in contact with you. We're gonna put this in the description as well. But
Yeah.
go ahead, my sister.
Yeah, so if you want to look at some of my artwork, you can email me, aw@artfromamber.com. But if you want to go onto the Facebook where I showcase a lot of the work there as well, that's Art from Amber. You just go to Facebook and search Art from Amber. My IG, where I keep a lot of the information for my shows and my nonprofit, that's at Empress Jasmine, and it's JASMYNN. And I mean, if you have those things, then you can easily contact me.
Okay, my sister. Thank you so much. Again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is TEHUT-NINE. You're watching Mind TV. Not watching. You're listening to Mind TV and TEHUT-NINE Radio. We're talking.
That'll happen soon enough. So.
Yeah, we're talking with Amber Jasmine Williams from out of Atlanta. Beautiful poet, artist in many different mediums and forms. Very creative person, very inspirational person, doing a lot of important work with our children. And I want to say thank you to Amber. Again, this is the place where we provoke thought and inspire thinking. So please go ahead and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Help us to build
Please.
this platform. Share this with your social media circles. And Amber, thank you again. And
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
we're definitely looking forward to talking to you again soon, my sister. So continue to do your work, and much love and respect to you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, peace out, my sister.
Peace.